Across the globe, tales of giants are etched into the bedrock of our oldest cultures. These stories, passed down through generations, have captivated the human imagination for centuries. From the biblical Nephilim to the Norse Jötnar, humanity has long been fascinated by the idea of a bygone era when beings of immense stature walked the earth. These legends are woven into the fabric of our oldest texts and mythologies. These stories are not just myths, they're persistent narratives found on every continent, from Africa to Asia, Europe to the Americas. The tales of giants are a global phenomenon. In the Americas, indigenous peoples pass down oral histories of giant ancestors and enemies, describing red-haired cannibals and towering chiefs. These stories were integral to their cultural identity and history. European explorers later documented encounters with tribes of extraordinary height, adding historical testimony to the legend. Their journals and logs provide a written record of these fascinating encounters. For over 2 centuries, reports have surfaced of enormous skeletons unearthed from ancient burial mounds and caves across the United States. These discoveries have sparked both intrigue and controversy, yet tangible proof remains elusive, and the gap between historical record and modern evidence is the heart of this investigation. The mystery deepens as we search for concrete evidence. Join us as we explore the line between myth and reality, examining eyewitness accounts, archaeological finds, and the possibility of a cover-up that erased giants from our history books. This journey promises to uncover secrets long buried in the sands of time. The age of exploration brought back tales of wonders, but few were as consistent as reports of giants in the New World. These stories captured the imaginations of many back in Europe. In 1520, Magellan's crew met the Patagonians, natives so tall the Europeans only reached their waists, giving Patagonia its name. This encounter was one of the earliest and most striking. Decades later, Sir Francis Drake's chaplain described Patagonians over 7 feet tall, a height that seemed almost mythical to the Europeans. And Anthony Knivet claimed to see corpses 12 feet long. Such claims added to the aura of mystery and wonder surrounding these lands. These weren't isolated stories. Explorers from different nations, over centuries, reported similar encounters. The consistency of these reports is intriguing. In North America, Spanish explorers like Álvarez de Pineda and Hernando de Soto described tribes and chiefs of exceptional size. These accounts were detailed and vivid. Bernal Díaz del Castillo, chronicler of Cortés, wrote of a femur as tall as a man, sent to the King of Spain as proof of giants. This was a tangible piece of evidence. These are not vague legends but specific documented encounters by men whose job was to observe and report. Their credibility adds weight to these stories. The consistency of these accounts forces us to ask, what or who did they really see? Were these beings truly giants, or was there another explanation? Were these exaggerations, misunderstandings, or evidence of a lost race? The possibilities are as vast as the lands they explored. The mystery deepens as we compare these reports to indigenous legends. These legends often speak of great beings, adding another layer to the enigma. Long before Europeans arrived, Native American oral traditions spoke of ancient races of giants. The Paiute of Nevada tell of the Si-Te-Cah, red-haired cannibalistic giants who terrorized their ancestors. According to legend, the Paiute united to drive the Si-Te-Cah into a cave, setting it ablaze to end their reign. This story, passed down for generations, is more than myth. It's a foundational epic of liberation and survival. Sarah Winnemucca, a Paiute chief's daughter, documented these tales, and even kept a lock of red hair said to be from a Si-Te-Cah. The specificity of the location, the description of the giants, and the violent conclusion make the Paiute legend feel like a preserved memory of a real event. These stories are echoed by other tribes across the continent, each with their own accounts of battles with giants. Are these legends echoes of a forgotten chapter in human history? The legend of giants takes a dramatic turn when we examine the archaeological record, where myth and history seem to blur together. In 1911, miners in Lovelock Cave, Nevada, uncovered mummified remains of exceptionally large humans, some with striking red hair. Details that eerily match the ancient Paiute legend of a race of red-haired giants. Oversized sandals and ancient artifacts found alongside the remains suggested these people were far larger than the average human of their time, raising questions about who they really were. Similar discoveries have been reported across America, like in 1833, when a 12-foot skeleton was unearthed in California, astonishing both scientists and the public. In Ohio, ancient burial mounds have yielded giant bones, fueling speculation about a forgotten chapter in North American history. Spirit Cave, Nevada, yielded mummies over 10,000 years old, some with unusual features and exceptional height, further deepening the mystery. These finds, often quickly reburied, lost, or simply forgotten, paint a picture of a lost chapter in American prehistory, one that mainstream archaeology rarely discusses. Yet despite hundreds of reports and newspaper articles, almost none of these remains are available for study today, leaving researchers frustrated and the public curious. The question remains, were these discoveries simply misinterpretations, elaborate hoaxes, or could they be evidence of a race now erased from history and collective memory? The physical evidence, tantalizing but elusive, keeps the mystery alive and invites further investigation. What happened to these bones, and why are they missing from our museums? The answers may be hidden, but the questions continue to haunt America's past. With so many reports of giant skeletons, why aren't our museums filled with them? The absence of evidence has fueled a persistent conspiracy theory that the Smithsonian actively suppressed proof of giants. Major John Wesley Powell, head of the Smithsonian's Bureau of Ethnology, is often cited as the architect of this cover-up. Critics allege that under Powell, evidence contradicting the official narrative was collected and quietly disappeared. The pattern is familiar. A sensational discovery, Smithsonian agents arrive, and then, silence. The case of the 8-foot mummy near San Diego, purchased and then declared a hoax, is just one example. Even Abraham Lincoln referenced the extinct giants whose bones fill the mounds of America. Was this common knowledge erased by academic decree? Whether deliberate or not, the result is the same. The evidence is gone, and the mystery remains. Is this a grand fabrication, or a real chapter of history hidden from view? Legends of giants are not unique to the Americas. They're part of a global tapestry. The Book of Genesis describes the Nephilim, mighty men of old, while the Epic of Gilgamesh tells of a towering king in ancient Mesopotamia. Norse mythology is filled with the Jötnar, ancient giants who battled the gods and embodied the forces of chaos. These stories often portray giants as powerful, semi-divine beings, not just brutes. Across cultures, giants are depicted as an ancient race, eventually defeated by the ancestors of modern humans. They're associated with cannibalism, great strength, and a primeval connection to the earth. The similarities between Old World and New World legends are striking. Is this a shared ancient memory, or a universal human myth? The global consensus in mythology is, at the very least, a remarkable coincidence. If giants once existed, where did they come from? Theories range from scientific to speculative. Some suggest a hybrid species, perhaps the result of interbreeding between archaic humans, producing offspring of unusual size and strength. Others propose that these giants migrated across the Bering Land Bridge, predating Native Americans. Another theory points to Norse explorers. The red hair and Caucasoid features of some mummies hint at a Viking connection. Early European visitors found tribes with fair skin and red hair, fueling speculation about ancient Norse integration. While mainstream science attributes these traits to later intermarriage, the legends persist. Could a lost party of Norse explorers have left a genetic legacy that inspired the white giant legends? The greatest frustration in the giants' mystery is the lack of hard evidence today. Many discoveries were made in the 19th century, when preservation was poor and bones often crumbled or were discarded. Some skeletons were reburied at the request of Native Americans, removing them from scientific scrutiny. The Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act has led to the reburial of many remains, including anomalous finds. While this law is vital for righting historical wrongs, it also means evidence is being permanently removed from study. Between poor preservation, private collectors, and legal repatriation, the puzzle remains unsolved. The evidence is not just missing, it's been respectfully returned to the earth, taking its secrets with it. So, where does that leave us? The story of America's lost giants is a mesmerizing puzzle at the crossroads of myth, history, and science. Centuries of consistent reports, rich oral histories, and newspaper articles suggest something extraordinary once walked this land. Yet, verifiable proof is almost non-existent, and mainstream science remains skeptical. The lack of a complete skeleton for analysis is the biggest hurdle for the giant theory. This gap between what was reported and what can be proven keeps the mystery alive. It fuels speculation about conspiracies and lost truths, and speaks to our desire for a world more mysterious than we're told. The legend endures because it touches on fundamental questions. Who were we before we were us? Could our oldest myths be rooted in reality? Until definitive evidence is found, the search for America's giants remains a quest for lost truth, a journey into the shadows of our own history.